Welcome back. We're discussing the implications of government bailouts in solving the global economic crisis. Here with me on the set, I'm joined by Alexander Mirchev, founder and president of Kral Corporation and a former leading figure in Bulgaria during its transition from the Soviet era. Dr. Mirchev is also a member of the board of trustees of the Kissinger Institute on China and the United States at the Woodrow Wilson International Center. Now, just before the break, we were doing a debate in the chat room with a poll asking, should governments bail out banks? And the result is 33% of you said yes, they should, while 67%, two-thirds of you, said no, they shouldn't. Now, as we get back to our discussions, Dr. Mirchev, how do you regard that? Are people angry, basically, with the bailout concept?
Well, they should be, they are rightfully angry. You know, it doesn't make sense from anybody's point of view, but sometimes the people that, the things that do not make sense needs to be done. And in general, the bailouts as they are rewarding failure. They are really, I would say, out of the Main Street way of thinking, out of the entrepreneurial way of thinking. And at the end of the day, the government is picking and choosing winners and losers. But having said so, it's obvious what is the rationale behind the bailing out. Really something that we have discussed, the D word, depression, the enormous domino effect that could start from allowing some of these organizations to fail.
Yeah, exactly. What would be the consequences if you say, well, it's really true, free market capitalism, we could let the auto industry collapse, we could let AIG fail, we could let, I mean, Lehman Brothers was allowed to go, and now people are wondering, was it the right thing? It was like almost a selected decision-making process.
It is really a very hard question, to the extent that on one hand, the general population wants to see the political leaders doing something. And they have a limited set of tools to do. There's certain fiscal policies, certain monetary policies that has more or less been exhausted and put in place. But having said so, at the end of the day, the bailout is definitely not the best possible way to go. But the big question is what else? What else is on the table? As in general, we are all human beings and we want to have the both sides to eat the pie and to have it. It's not possible to save the system and to move toward the fixing the failures of the system and after that reforming it without measures of a type that are going to look and actually are absurd from a free market perspective.
We've got Shaukat on the line from the UK. Shaukat, what would you like to ask?
Yeah, hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, the strength of the Western economy lies on the middle class, small businesses. Is that where the solution of the economic crisis lies? Thank
Small
you.
businesses and the middle classes. Are they going to pull us out of this recession, or this depression even?
I think yes. At the end of the day, what counts and what all these measures should lead. What is the test? What is the criteria of success for all these measures? If it increases productivity, entrepreneurship, if it increases trade, if it increases the freedom and the opportunities of people to create wealth. It's not going to be created by the governments. It never does. The governments at best are redistributing the stuff that we're creating. So, of course, the medium, small-sized businesses, the corporation, the markets needs to have a say. And before they get involved in all this, in a consistent, persistent, and I would say dominant way, we're going to be into the crisis or semi-crisis.
Now, of course, a big fear is the number of people going out of work, and it's a major issue. It's a morale crusher as well. Juan Samavia of the International Labour Organization, the Director General, had this to say recently. He said, if stimulus efforts are delayed, the jobs crisis will be prolonged and severe, and employment may only start to recover from 2011. He's saying that there are 90 million jobs needed to be created. Is that a realistic proposal in this current climate?
I think that the actual situation is even more dire. We are about to see, and we are seeing a major restructuring of the world economy, of the financial system, and it's not going to be that soon.
So when people say, these latest analysts say we should see recovery by the end of the year?
Well, you could say whatever you want, and you should do that because it's a confidence buster, and this gives a lot of other. But we should be cautiously realistic with these numbers. It is a major adjustment. It's still not a depression, and it's likely it's not going to be. But at the end of the day, it's going to take a while. As President Obama just mentioned in the segment that you've said, this crisis was in the making in the course of the last significant period of time. Why on earth it would be possible to fix it for a couple of quarters?
Right. So what should the G20 be focusing on when it meets?
They have a pretty broad agenda, but the real problem, I think, there, and there is a lot of good things that are going to come out of this meeting, is...
You're optimistic then?
No. I believe it's important, that is going to contribute. The most important single factor is a G20, but not G7, G8. Mm-hmm. It is extremely important because it's broadening the perspective, the way the economy is perceived, the way the players are perceived. But at the end of the day, there are really significant differences, philosophical differences, how this should go, to what extent these packages that are undertaken in virtually every country could be rearranged in a way to reinforce themselves, to increase the level of impact that they would have on the economies, on the life of the people. But at the end of the day, they are going to focus on jobs, on beefing up IMF, and obviously trying to regulate the financial system. And here is actually the biggest problem that I would like to stress, that it's really a delicate balance. When you have a problem in a financial and economic world, you better first look at the regulations that created that instead of creating new ones. So we are really, and you see how it's perceived that there is excessive risk, but the risk taking is the core of the innovation. It's the core of the entrepreneurship. It's the core. If the banks are making only secure loans, fully secured, with who is going to support the small businesses that your caller just mentioned?
That's a very strong philosophy in America. In Europe, people are a lot more cautious, and of course, there are rifts coming more visible between the US and Europe, basically over the way to move forward because of the risks that the US is willing to take.
I don't see it just Europe or US. I would really would like to take a broader view. I would include, even though Asia is so diverse, but basically you have emergence of models, or at least a perception of the models that are not exactly the Western style capitalism, and they're experimenting with a lot of issues there. And we have the forgotten world, the low income economies, that also are going to have an impact on all this equation. So basically I don't see it just dance between Europe and US. It's much broader, it's much more complex, and the US as a matter of fact continues to have in my opinion, is going to continue to have a preeminent role in the world economy, and that's why the leadership of the United States is crucial.
There was an email that came in from a viewer by the name of Muazzam Alvi, who says, "It is inevitable that some institutions are saved for the better public good. However, it should be done with total vigilance and with a strong condition of accountability." So I wonder, do you think anyone is being really held accountable for what's happened up to now, and do you think anyone ever will be?
No, simply because it's a systematic failure. And of course, if violations of the law has been committed along the way, they're going to be punished. But what instruments the system has? You have seen how the Congress here, consisting of pretty competent people, was overdoing it, trying to enact retroactive legislation, or legislation that would target certain group or certain individuals. That is, to start with, the last time I checked the books, is constitutional. But there are limited instruments, and even the wrongdoings are not that easy to be punished, in particular when they are wrongdoings of the system. And to suddenly legislate that the people shouldn't be greedy, it's not realistic. They're going to be yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
30 seconds to go. Are you optimistic?
Definitely. I think that at the end of the day, whatever happens is going to be just how long it's going to take. There's going to be a major readjustment. We're going to see a financial mega market, which is going to empower the players rather than restricting them. We're going to see a new balance of power with the preeminence of the United States, which I believe it's with us for a long run. And we are going to see a new level of prosperity. The point is how long it's going to take and how deep the bottom is going to be.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about this again. Dr. Mirchev, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure.
And thank you for being with us. On the next show, Chaz Freeman, who withdrew his acceptance of a high-level intelligence position in the Obama administration and openly said the Israel lobby was responsible for halting his appointment. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.